Just north of the Golden Gate Bridge, you'll find some of the most picturesque views that California has to offer along the Point Reyes National Seashore in western Marin County.
This is paradise.
Carlos Barata, a 30-year veteran California park ranger, has picked up photography in his retirement.
When I go out to do photography in Point Reyes National Seashore, I call it going to church.
Why is that?
Because that's where I feel like my heart and my spirit feel comfortable, full.
Past the breathtaking landscapes that draw in millions of visitors each year, you'll find cattle dotted along the coastline. Yes, this area is a national seashore protected by the National Park Service, but since it gained that federal designation in 1962, there's been a unique agreement to allow ranching here, a way of life that predates the park's formation. Now, that's coming to an end for the most part, thanks to a secret deal that's anchoring some ranchers who've been there for generations.
We've built up this farming community and food community, and now we're at risk of losing everything because of this deal that behind closed doors that was happening in Point Reyes National Seashore.
Albert Strauss runs the Strauss Dairy Farm in Marin County. His operation purchases milk from at least one of the dairy farms in Point Reyes, slated to close.
We've created an organic farming and food system that is a model for the world.
Today, you'll see their products on store shelves under the popular Strauss Family Creamery label. Soon, the company's output could be reduced because of the farm closures.
We're angry as a community. We feel disrespected as farms community, and people are being evicted from their homes and their livelihoods.
Environmentalists are welcoming the dramatic reduction in ranching on the way to Point Reyes.
I've seen the dairies, Strauss dairies. They're certainly a lot better, but they're not good enough to create the pristine environment that's needed for perennials to come back.
Joe Mueller is a biology instructor at College of Marin. He says thousands of cows scattered throughout the seashore has led to overgrazing, and that's causing the removal of native plants and the overpopulation of destructive weeds.
What it does is it takes over in such a way that it doesn't provide for the soil like the perennials do. The perennials are able to kind of protect the soil.
After years of back and forth between environmental groups and ranchers who have leases with the National Park Service, in January, 6 dairy farms and 6 beef farms entered into a voluntary settlement agreement to end farming and close their ranches. 2 remaining beef operations in the National Seashore will receive long-term leases from the NPS. The deal was brokered by the environmental nonprofit, the Nature Conservancy. The agreement, which has not been made public, settles a 2022 lawsuit that raised serious environmental concerns about the farming practices on the protected land and challenged 20-year leases given to the farmers by the National Park Service. The ranchers who operate the farms will receive an undisclosed sum of money, estimated by our sources to be somewhere between a couple and several $1 million, to walk away from this multi-generational family business. Caught in the balance are the farm workers that have performed the back-breaking labor of herding, feeding, and milking thousands of cows for generations. They will soon be out of a job, and their families will be out of a place to live.
Es difícil porque realmente pues no tienes.
Rosa Rodriguez has lived in this home on historic Ranch A in Point Reyes with her husband Miguel and their 3 boys aged 11, 18, and 20 for the last 7 years. Miguel works on the farm.
Podría ser entre 1,300.
Rosa tells us that her husband is paid around $1,400 every 2 weeks after taxes. She picks up cleaning jobs in the area and teaches photography on the side. Combined, they bring in about $65,000 a year, well below the average family income in Marin County of $143,000. That's why receiving free housing on this farm is a lifeline, given how expensive it is to live in Marin. But she showed us the less than ideal living conditions, holes in the floor that they boarded up, low water pressure, and walls covered in mold, which she's concerned has made her youngest sick with asthma. An attorney representing the rancher who owns the property disputes those claims, saying no significant repairs were requested by the Rodriguez family. A 2024 study revealed the majority of homes on the Point Reyes farms are dilapidated, with major health and safety violations. But as bad as the living conditions are, she has no clue where her and her family will live when they're forced to move out when the farms close by April 1st of 2026, according to documents obtained by ABC 7 News.
How has it changed since then?
Along with photography and his retirement, Carlos also serves as president of the board of directors for the organization West Marin Community Services. His group will help disperse a reported $2.5 million set aside in a fund by the Nature Conservancy to help the farm workers, their families, and tenants who don't work on the farm but have been grandfathered into this agreement relocate, about 100 people in total.
Each family should look at all the information that is given to them and decide what's best for my family. Let's honor the workers. Those are that's the funny part of it. They are the backbone of that industry. Without those workers, nothing happens. Nothing.
ABC 7 News has obtained documents shared with families showing the sliding scale of compensation they'll receive as an incentive to move off the farms. $68,000 for a 1 to 2 person household, $81,000 for a family of 3 to 4, and $99,000 for a family the size of Rosa's with 5 to 6 people, with the cap being $109,000 for larger families. Just as the details of this deal are emerging from the shadows, there are powerful forces that could tear it apart and reverse the decision to end decades of farming in Point Reyes.
We have a housing crisis, as you know well now, and this is just making it worse. Taking housing that's there and eliminating it. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Andrew Giacomini is a well-known Bay Area attorney who's now representing 45 tenants on the Point Reyes farms who are not happy with this deal. Giacomini also comes from a family of ranchers who lived and worked right here on these West Marin farms.
I'm just trying to level the playing field against this situation where there's this money to drag people out of their houses, and then there's this push on the other side, and people feel like they don't have a choice.
And now Giacomini tells me that he's trying to give these tenants that choice by working with a private donor to create a separate fund to match the money families are receiving from the Nature Conservancy. In other words, Rosa's family could accept $99,000 from this private donor instead of the Nature Conservancy as an incentive to stay and fight by joining this lawsuit. He says families will receive the money whether they win that lawsuit or not.
Who's the donor?
I'm not going to reveal their name. They can decide to do it or not.
What do you say to people that might say that this is fighting a secret settlement with secret money from a donor?
You're the first person who said that, but it's just, I would say, well, we're fighting the good fight and they're fighting the bad fight.
As the legal challenge to upend the deal to end farming in Point Reyes continues, the deal has captured the attention of lawmakers in Washington. House Republicans on the Committee on Natural Resources have launched a federal investigation into the Biden-era settlement agreement, calling out a lack of transparency and potential environmental and legal consequences.
And there's a lot going on here, including, some questions like, why did so many people not care about the farm workers for all these years, but are suddenly great champions of the farm workers? There's some stuff going on here.
Congressman Jared Huffman's district stretches from the Golden Gate Bridge to the Oregon border, including the Point Reyes National Seashore. He opposes the lawsuit and this congressional investigation.
I think they are trying to blow this up because they just don't like parts of it, and they're not sure what comes next, and that's what worries me. Because you can't just put Humpty Dumpty back together again. Some of these ranchers are already gone or are almost gone. Several of these dairies are functionally already shut down and have ceased operation. They're not coming back.
Congressman Huffman says his office is now focused on helping affected families like Rosa's find new housing and new work. He believes ending ranching on the seashore will improve the ecosystem, a longtime concern of North Bay environmentalists.
This is the most popular beach in Point Reyes National Seashore Park. If you're here the right time of year, November, December, you can see large elephant seals in here.
Biology professor Joe Mueller at the College of Marin points to cattle grazing as a detriment to the area's ecosystem.
So miles of cattle grazing is happening up there. And when the study was done in 2022, they showed in this area, some of those coliforms about 170 times what is deemed safe.
Coliforms are bacteria that are often a sign that other disease-causing pathogens could be present, just one of the hazards in the area that some blame on ranching practices. One of Professor Mueller's former students took these photos showing the popular elephant seals wallowing in drainage water, feet from where we were standing.
And that was primarily from the runoff from the farms, leading to that high level of dangerous bacteria.
That's right. That they were able to trace that back to the grazing, to the cattle, the dairy cattle that are up there.
Professor Mueller tells me the cessation of dairy and beef ranching in the national seashore will reduce runoff and lessen the overgrazing of the area by the more than 5,000 cattle in the park. He believes this will allow for a greater return of the native Thule elk and ultimately a stronger environment as the national park returns to its core mission.
One of the functions of these national parks is to preserve biodiversity. And sustainable farming is certainly a wonderful start, but will never be enough when it comes to preserving nature in its whole.
For everything that the environment stands to gain by the closure, families like Rose's stand to lose. She tells me she thinks often about how accepting their new community will be. Her middle son, David, just finished his freshman year at Chico State. He was born with a rare medical condition that caused limb deformities at birth.
Well, I would get picked on all the time and for the way I look.
This farm and this home are the only places he's ever felt free of bullying. He said he wishes farm workers, like his dad, were treated with more dignity and better included in this transition process.
They're the backbone of this country. I feel like they should be supported more and not just, oh, we're just closing it down and not give us information on why.